Hello there, very good afternoon to you. You're watching Lunch Primetime News on News First. We are heading into a weekend, but it's very important to know what's happening around us. So for that, before we head into the bulletin, let's take a look at the headlines.
Port trade unions continue their protest. Protest in Madhavachia due to threat of wild elephants. Tremors reported in Nuvarelia. Leak in the Kandakulama River. Paddy fields in the area inundated.
Everyone in the country is concerned about the COVID vaccine, when it will be available to us here in Sri Lanka, and what vaccine will be available. Those are the two main questions that everyone is grappling with at the moment. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana had some good news today.
මේ අවස්ථාව මං හිතන්නේ මුළු රටටම විශේෂ ආරංචියක් දෙන්නත් මම යොදා ගන්නවා.
I take this opportunity to provide a piece of good news to the country. We decided, following a discussion at the National Drug Control Board, to approve the use of AstraZeneca vaccine produced by the University of Oxford for emergency use against COVID-19. In a few days, we will have the opportunity to use the vaccine. This is the first time we received approval for the use of a COVID-19 vaccine. Apart from AstraZeneca, we have received applications from other vendors who have produced COVID-19 vaccines. We are in discussion at present.
Oxford AstraZeneca එන්නතින් පසු තවත් එන්නත් කිහිපයක් සඳහාත් අපිට මේ වෙනකොට ආයුධම්පත් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු අපි යොදාගෙන යනවා.
As we are aware, the human-elephant conflict continues to create trouble within the farming community in Sri Lanka. There was a fast unto death launched by a group of farmers in the Valsapugala area in Surya Hamathura. This, of course, received the attention of some of the echelons of the government as well, including Sports Minister Namal Rajapaksa, who spoke about it. Now, the protest and the hunger strike launched by these farmers continues, and today the residents of Madhavachia also took to the streets demanding a permanent solution to the wild elephant problem. The protest in Madhavachia was organized by the All Ceylon Agrarian Federation. People from several villages in Madhavachia were present at the demonstration. The earlier protest was, of course, in the southern province. Now the attention has been drawn. The same issue is being raised by people in the north central province as well. With that, we move on to the political arena. The chairman of the National Trade Union Centre, KD Lalkanta, says that a need for dollars has arisen within the country. He made these remarks during a conference held under the theme Sorry Kauda Dinum in Portugal. The government is trying to let go of 49% of shares of the port. They are demanding to give these 49% of shares to local investors. How can we get dollars when local investors invest on this? Why have they restricted the import of turmeric? This is done to stop the flow of dollars from importing vehicles because of COVID. We have faced a crisis due to the lack of dollars within the country. We need to tell the local investors that their chances are gone. We can only see foreign investments happening within the country. It is like a foreign invasion. I do not know whether Basil Rajapaksa is giving away a dowry to someone. His daughter is married to an Indian. Now they are trying to give 49% of shares of the port to India. The culture of offering dowries is famous in India. Recently they gave some island to India. I do not know whether he had promised to give the East Container Terminal as well. They think that they own these assets. We need to adapt to a way to find and bring dollars into the country. This is not the way that we can do that. But we need to have a broad discussion within the country on how to get off this crisis. I saw a program on Sirasa themed The Sea of Sri Lanka. The image that comes to our mind is our country is only the landmass. But there is a huge area covered under the sea which belongs to our country. It is a valuable asset to our nation. We still haven't even discovered some parts of it. Now the technology has developed. There are huge vessels that can carry over 24,000 containers. To bring these containers to our country, we need to have a deep sea. It should have at least 18 meters in depth. The only terminal with this depth is the East Container Terminal. Even at this moment, ships are being docked at this terminal, and now they are trying to give it away. After they give this away, our port authority will have no ships to manage.
මේ කතා කරන මොහොතේත් එතන නැව් වැඩ. ඒක තමයි මේ දෙන්න යන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒක දුන්නට පස්සේ වරාය අධිකාරියක් නැහැ. නැව් නැති වරාය අධිකාරියක් තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ. නැව් ගන්න බෑ. පොඩි පොඩි බෝට්ටු තමයි ගන්න වෙන්නේ.
ආණ්ඩුවට ඕන විදියට ඉන්දියාවේ අදාන සමාගමට දෙන්න මෙරට.
As per the wish of the government, the East Container Terminal cannot be given to the Adani Group. The labour force of the country port trade unions and the other trade unions are not ready for this. All of them are getting together and planning on a protest. Not 49%, let alone even 1% will not be given to them. The sale of the East Container Terminal has become a decisive topic for the future of this government.
පැවැත්ම තීන්දු කරන සාධකයක් බවට වරාය ජැටිය විකිණීමේ මංකොල්ලය පත්වලා තියෙනවා කියන කාරණේ අපි කියන්නට ඕන.
Presidential commissions are not a new thing for us Sri Lankans. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed a presidential commission of inquiry to ascertain whether preceding commissions of inquiry and committees appointed to investigate into human rights violations have revealed any human rights violations, serious violations of the international humanitarian law and other such serious offences.
The Commission of Inquiry will be chaired by Judge of the Supreme Court AHMD Nawaz, while retired Inspector General of Police Chandra Fernando and retired District Secretary Nimal Abesiri serving as members. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry is also mandated with identifying the findings of the said commissions and committees related to the serious violations of human rights, serious violations of international humanitarian laws and other such offences, and whether recommendations have been made on how to deal with the said facts.
Going back to some of the COVID-19 related news in the country, we know that the airport was declared open yesterday, the Mattala and the Bandaranaike International Airport. Thereby 330 people have arrived in the country following the opening of the BIA. Amongst them are 15 tourists.
Our airport correspondent said 186 Sri Lankan expatriates arrived from Bahrain. 19 expatriates arrived from Japan. Another 36 expatriates were also among the people who arrived in the country. Tourists who arrived were taken to a hotel in Bentota, while the Sri Lankans were taken to quarantine centres.
Let me now draw your attention to the central province. Tremors measuring 1.8 on the Richter scale were felt in close proximity to Nuwara.
These tremors were reported around 3:30 earlier this morning in Walapane and Badulla. The Tsunami Warning Centre said tremors were experienced for around 6 seconds. Geological Survey and Mines Bureau is conducting further investigations into the incident.
Now, a water leakage was reported from the Kandakulam Vaver in Kilinochchi, and the lower paddy fields have begun to be submerged. There was a leakage that was reported from the Kandakulam Vaver last evening. The farmers' unions, the Kilinochchi Disaster Management Centre and the security forces immediately activated sandbags to try to contain the water leak. The extent of paddy fields fed by this tank is close to 1,000 acres. By now, the lower paddy fields have begun to flood. Our correspondent said that the engineers who arrived at the site this morning have begun to search for the cause of the water leak. Now, a train travelling from Badulla to Kandy has derailed.
Our correspondent said that the train was travelling from Badulla to Kandy when it derailed at 5:45 a.m. in Uduvara. The railway line has not yet been restored. The train service from Badulla to Kandy has been temporarily suspended.
A garment worker infected with COVID-19 who escaped from the Katunayaka area was found near the 18th mile post in Katunayaka. DIG Adit Rohana said that the patient had left the hospital before being discharged.
Even yesterday, we identified a patient who is infected with COVID-19. He is an employee of a garment factory in Katunayaka. This person is a 25-year-old resident of Padavia. He was temporarily residing in Walanagoda, Katunayaka. After he was identified as COVID patient, the area health officials have asked him to stay where he is until they direct him to a treatment center. It was reported yesterday that when the officials went to the residence of the person, he was missing. There had been 2 similar incidents reported in the past as well. We need to emphasize the fact that these type of violations against the quarantine laws of the country are under the law.
විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි දැනුම් දෙන්නේ මෙවැනි ආකාරයේ නිරෝධායන නියෝගයකට පටහැනිව කටයුතු කරන අයට එරෙහිව දඬුවම් ලබා දීමට හැකියාවක් තිබෙන බව.
The leader of the Janaseta Peramuna, Venerable Battaramulle Seelaratana Thera, convened a media briefing in Habarakada yesterday.
සමාගමට විරුද්ධව ඉන්දියාවේ පෙළපාලි යනවා.
Protests against the Adani Group are being staged in India. Sri Lanka is working together with a company that is being chased away by their home country. When India holds 49% of the ECT, many Sri Lankans will eventually end up being unemployed.
අනිවාර්යෙන් ශ්‍රී ලාංකික සියලු දෙනාට රැකී රස්සා නැති වෙනවා. අපේ වුන් දොට්ට ඉන්දියන් උන් ඇතුළට අපිට හුලං කාගේ වරදින්ද පාලකයන්ගේ වැරදි.
Now, the situation with regard to the East Container Terminal, we know that there was a cabinet subcommittee appointed to look into whether the East Container Terminal should be handed over to a foreign entity, and the percentage of the shareholding is to be decided and discussed at that cabinet subcommittee. The port trade unions, who are strongly against this move, are holding a silent protest opposite the port today starting at 1 p.m. We at News First will keep you updated about the situation. We have our reporters deployed to that location to keep you updated about what happens near the port and how things pan out during the day with regard to the appointment and the decisions taken by the Cabinet Subcommittee on the East Container Terminal. We are now going to cross over to our resident sports journalist Martin Satyanesan to get the latest about the cricketing happenings in Sri Lanka, or the second test or the final test between visiting England and Sri Lanka. Martin?
Thank you very much, Chaturanga. The second and the final test between Sri Lanka and England is currently underway at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. Sri Lanka made 3 changes to their playing 11, roped in Ramesh Mendis, who scored 300 runs in the concluded first-class match in Sri Lanka. Suranga Lakmal returned to the playing 11 after an injury. And of course, Sri Lanka also dropped Dasun Shanaka for this particular match. Dinesh Chandimal, the standing captain of Sri Lanka, decided to bat first after winning the toss. And accordingly, Kusal Janit Pereira and Lairu Tirimana started the opening partnership for Sri Lanka.
1,000 square kilometers of ocean territory, an exclusive economic zone that has attracted the attention of the entire world. Over 8 times the size of our land mass. The time has come for all Sri Lankans to stand up and defend what is ours. We must call it what it is.
The Sea of Sri Lanka.
With that important message from the government, the Council on Foreign Affairs, we wrap this afternoon's lunchtime news bulletin. But we urge you to stay tuned to News First to know the latest happenings around you. And we also remind you that you can follow all the stories and more on our website www.newsfirst.lk. Thank you very much for watching.